This is Dr. Rhonda L. Hamilton. Welcome back for another episode, of the Mindfully Making a Difference podcast. I am so excited to be back before you. I hope your holiday was enjoyable. Did you eat too much turkey? We always do, don't we? Well, today I want to talk to you about the act of humbling or humility. It is the act of being open to understanding that there are other points of view. Sometimes we get so built up in ourselves that we're not willing to allow ourselves to become open to receive positive help, positive criticism, positive intervention. On the Mindfully Making a Difference podcast, we are actively encouraging our members and our listeners to become empowered through your own abilities to recognize when you know you need help. Sometimes knowing you need help is not enough if you're not willing to be open or humble to receiving positive influences and criticisms or intervention. Oftentimes, I receive phone calls from members that we're helping, and a lot of times they haven't come to grips with the fact that there is something that they're dealing with. Many of us don't know how to manage with our documented diagnosis or mental health challenges, and we struggle with who to talk to, or more importantly, who to confide in. Trust is huge in our community, and I am a firm believer that trust is earned. However, one of the things that I do want us to focus on individually is our willingness to be humble, to open. A lot of times we find out that we're dealing with something and we're angry. We're bound in our spirit by things that we have yet to address or things that we want to face. On the Mindfully Making a Difference podcast, it is our intentions to allow you a comfortable place and space to be able to hear other testimonies and to be able to understand that you are not alone. This is your hostess, Dr. Rhonda L. Hamilton, and it is my pleasure to come before you and to challenge you today. Are you looking in the mirror? What did you see today? What positive affirmations were you able to come up with? Are you writing in your journal? Guys, a big part of us being able to be healthy and us being able to do something different is that we have to challenge ourselves to create processes that are going to allow ourselves to hold ourselves accountable. Because let's face it, if we don't care about ourselves, then who are we expecting to care about us? That's a real question. Love. Are you loving yourself out there? We talked about self-love and how challenging it can be to be able to exhibit self-love. What did you decide that you were going to celebrate about yourself today? See, this is a daily process, and there should be something every day that you can wake up to that is positive about yourself. We all are challenged with something. Are you talking to your therapist out there? Have you scheduled an appointment to talk to a therapist? Have you reached out to a life coach? Have you reached out to our podcast? Are you participating? Are you challenging yourself to do something different? Because positive change starts with us. It starts from within. We all have that God-given voice inside of us that tells us that something isn't right, that we need to do something different. Are you a caregiver out there? Are you someone who are properly channeling your emotions? Stress is real. Depression is real, and so is suicide. We do this on the Mindfully Making a Difference podcast because we know that there are many of you out there that are challenged to try to deal with your daily realities. We can all do something different, but we have to be committed. The word today is humility. Humility. The act of humbling, the act of being willing to receive positive intervention, and the act of staying open-minded to understanding that there are many ways that we can address our issues. This pandemic has pointed out some very real understandings for many of us. Our health is failing us. And we've got to make different decisions if we want to have different outcomes. Well, I've been working on my physical wellness. Are you working on your physical wellness out there, or did you choose another avenue to work on? You know, we've been talking about SAMHSA's 8 dimensions of wellness, everything from the financial to the spiritual to the environmental, you name it. There are various levels of wellness, 8 to be exact. If you have Googled the SAMHSA Healthy Life manual that I've been recommending for you all to Google SAMHSA, SAMHSA. That is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administrations. They deal with a lot of policies and information surrounding mental health. We'd like for our listeners to become empowered to take daily steps at improving their overall well-being. What are you working on today? I'm your hostess, Dr. Rhonda L. Hamilton, and I care about you. I care that you are being consistent in your overall wellness routine. I've asked that you would start a daily journal. By now, you should have many entries. We've come through the Thanksgiving holiday, and now we're preparing for the Christmas holiday. Have you started to think about your New Year's revelations? Are you someone who makes New Year's revelations? Guys, we can all do something different to support our overall health and well-being. I'm working on my physical wellness, and I'm happy to report that every day since I've spoken with you, I've been exercising. Well, it doesn't just start with my exercising. I've got to be better about this sugar that I'm challenged to leave alone. Guys, we can all do something different, and we can all work on ourselves. This is the Mindfully Making a Difference podcast, and I'm asking you today, what did you find positive about yourself? What are you working on? Will you practice the act of humility? Are you already a humble person? Are you already receiving positive intervention and influences? Then that's a wonderful thing. If you're not, I challenge you to open up. Who's your support base? What boundaries are you setting for yourself? Who can you talk to when things get tough? When that stress gets so overwhelming for you, how are you channeling it? What other areas in your life could use positive intervention and positive influences? Guys, we can all do this together, but we have to remember that we don't walk this earth alone. And when life finds us, we need to have positive systems in place to help us manage our levels of stress. Some of us are stronger than others, and some of us don't require as much as others. Guys, we are much more than our diagnosis out there, and I want you to remember that. Today's word is humility, the act of humbling, the act of opening and being willing to receive positive influence, intervention, and assistance in any matters that you find yourself dealing with. You've got to be willing to open up and speak about them. I'm sure there are things that have gone on or things that you are struggling with that you believe are embarrassing, humiliating, frustrating, emotionally challenging. You are not alone. But many of our listeners that have reached out for assistance, the challenge for many of them is that they're still bound. If you're still bound and you can't receive positive influence or positive intervention, then it may challenge your ability to find your healthy space. Remember, we're talking about creating a balance in your life and in your living. Life is always going to happen, and many times things are happening outside of our control. The only thing that we do know that we can control is ourselves, our mindset, our attitude, our willingness to work on us. What are you going to work on today? Well, it's that time of year. You know, these holidays can be very, very emotional for many. And especially at a time like this when we're coming through a pandemic where so many have lost so many loved ones. Somebody didn't wake up today, and somebody may not wake up tomorrow. If you're blessed to be here today and tomorrow, you've got a fighting chance at being able to do something positive for your overall well-being. See, this is Dr. Rhonda L. Hamilton, and on the Mindfully Making a Difference podcast, we want to encourage you to work on living your best life, because this pandemic has shown us that our health is truly our wealth. I want to dedicate this series to some beautiful souls in my life that it has been brought to my attention that they are challenged with some health situations. Guys, we are all human. We are all in this together, and we all have loved ones or ourselves who will have medical challenges or who will be bound because of stress, mental challenges, or what have you. It is important that we all remember that ours is a life worth loving and ours is a life worth living. Put your boundaries in place out there. Build your support systems. Get that mirror out and get that journal going, because it's time to chart your growth. God blessed us to be able to be here today, and with His grace and mercy, we'll be here tomorrow. What better time than the present than to work on our overall wellness? Are you a humble being out there? Are you someone who practices the art of humility daily? Guys, the only way we're going to grow is if we're willing to be open to receive positive interjections, interventions, influences, information, you name it. I want you to live your best life out there, and to do so, we've got to be willing to open ourselves in those spaces and places where we'd rather be closed off, negative, frustrated, standoffish. You know, those behaviors that we've been practicing that are not healthy and that are not doing any of us any good. Today I challenge you to evaluate your systems. How are you handling your stress? Are you open to receiving positive intervention? Are you writing in your journals? Are you working on one of the areas of your wellness? Guys, these are the positive steps and understandings. Eventually, we're going to graduate. There are wonderful practices such as yoga, meditation, positive diet choices. Imagine that. What is your social behavior like? Are you helping out in the community? Guys, there is a such thing as having a well-rounded balance to the life that we're living, and we can all be doing something to empower ourselves to live our best life. Somebody didn't wake up this morning. Always remember that. You are bigger than your diagnosis, and every day that you're blessed to be here, you have an opportunity to understand something different that will positively help you in your deliverance of any mental health challenges or diagnosis or other health challenges that you're dealing with. See, guys, we're human and we're all in this together. It is important that we effectively learn how to communicate and to be held accountable for the things in our lives that we like to see changed, balanced, or made more healthier. This is your hostess, Dr. Rhonda L. Hamilton, and I'm excited. I'm excited for another opportunity to come before you, to hopefully empower you, to remind you that you are a beautiful being, and humility is the word for today. I challenge you to live in a humble space so that you will remain open to the positive understandings in your environment, in your surroundings, in your circles, in your space. I want you to know that yours is a life worth loving and a life worth living. Today, I challenge you to work on your many areas of wellness. Today, I challenge you to write something in your journal that will motivate you to manage your stress better and to be excited for another opportunity to work on living a better quality of life. Mental health is real out there, and mental health absolutely matters. It is important that we have a well-rounded approach to matters involving our overall wellness. This is your hostess, Dr. Rondell Hamilton. Until we speak again, I'm reminding you to always mindfully make a difference in your life as well as someone else's. God bless you. Talk to you soon. And remember, mental health matters. God bless.